Hey guys, so I tried to record this video yesterday, but then more things happened, and I wanted to include that in the video because I don't want to just keep making, dozens of videos a day. It's becoming excessive. So yeah, I didn't make anything public yesterday. I just decided to redo this today. So anyway, this is just an update and some new things that have been going on, and some things that have been going on all along. They're not really new, I guess. Um, so what they've been doing more and more though is they're copying my mannerisms, right? They're copying certain gestures I make, certain I won't call them tics, but I don't know how to describe it. I have a lot of nervous energy, so I tap a lot, like my hands, my feet. I just tap tap tap, right? Um, and I've noticed too that sometimes I'll tap in a pattern and um, a numerical pattern. And I'm not good with numbers, but I will, for whatever reason, I found myself doing that. I was tapping in a numerical pattern, and they copied that. They had this guy on the bus sitting, tapping his foot in that same exact pattern. And this is not a random thing. This is not something most people do. Um, they also have people come by me still, and they've always been doing this, and copy my hand gestures. I have not really flapping, but I don't know what to call it. It's I have these weird hand gestures that I make, and maybe it's a tic. I don't know. I do it when I'm nervous, and I do a lot of this too when I'm not nervous. I'm not still very often. I have a lot of energy, and I'm always kind of just moving around and fidgeting. But no, I have this certain hand gesture that I do, and I try not to do it outside because it's a little weird and embarrassing. But especially like when I'm at home and walking back and forth or pacing, I'll do it. And so they've had people come by me and copy that, but they'll do it they'll exaggerate it so it looks worse than it is, and it's meant to make me even more self-conscious, right? Um, when I'm already self-conscious. Why? Because I am painfully aware that they're watching me. They're watching me 24/7. They're letting me know they're watching me 24/7. They do it by having people copy my mannerisms when I'm out, but things that I typically do at home and not when I'm out, right? Um, they have people come by and repeat things that I've said or done in private, right? So they're showing me that I'm being watched and listened to. Um, you know, I kind of go back and forth between just shutting off completely and trying not to think about it, and then on the other hand, just not being able to shut off, just hyper focused on it, and just really to the point of mental collapse. Because I'm aware that I'm being watched and listened to, right? Even in the friggin' bathroom. I have no clue where the cameras are. I've looked for them. And I can't tear up this apartment to try to find them. Right? We rent, so I can't do that. And I've never liked being watched. I've never liked being looked at. Even a child, I would shy away from that, and now I can't escape it. Right? I can't escape it. And so the fight or flight instinct takes hold, but I can't do either. There are too many to fight, obviously, and if I flee, they follow. And plus, what they want is a fight. They want a public outburst. They want violence. Then they destroy me that way. But they get the target to destroy himself or herself. Right? They try to provoke and provoke and provoke the target until the target starts shouting in public or making himself, or saying things that will be perceived as, crazy, or until he acts out violently and or worse, kills someone. Right? And so they discredit and destroy him that way. Either put him in prison, in a mental institution, or the grave. I'm aware of that, and I try to hold back. It doesn't always work. And just thinking about it, sometimes I fall apart for a little while, and eventually I pull myself back together. Though the feeling of needing to claw my way out of my skin just to get away from them, that I can't get rid of, and probably shouldn't. Right? We shouldn't learn to just accept this. Right? We shouldn't allow this to become the norm, where no one has privacy, where freedom exists only in the minds of those of us who are old enough to remember it, right? Where if you say the wrong thing or disagree with the wrong person, your life can be obliterated. The United States of America, we have a constitution. Our nation was formed to to get away from this kind of thing, to get away from fascism, to get away from oppression and suppression. But here we are. Someone is destroying those of us who say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, think the wrong thing, feel the wrong thing. A lot of us who are being targeted are or were human rights activists. I know some have already fallen, and I think that's part of what the psychopathic stalkers want, right? Not just to kill us physically, but to kill us psychologically or on soul level. You know, they'll recruit people whose lives we spent our lives defending. They'll recruit them to come after us. And so I've seen other targets fall in that manner. Anyway, every aspect of our lives is being controlled by the psyop team. Okay, our freedom is gone. All right, my freedom is gone. They have control over everything, including my physical body. And it's the same for other targets. Well, it's the same for hard targets. I don't think everybody is being targeted in the exact same manner. I mean, there are certain strategies and techniques they use that are the same for all of us, but I think there are different levels of targeting. I don't think everybody has it quite as bad, and I'm sure there are plenty who have it a lot worse than I do. But you know, obviously, if the psychopaths can watch us and listen to us whenever they want, right, even in private, even in the bathroom, if they can tamper with our food and drink, and in many cases slowly poisoning targets, right, that's what they do. If they can convince doctors to misdiagnose us or fail to treat the real illness, which, you know, they did that during MK Ultra and the Tuskegee experiments. Don't think that they stopped, right? If they can do all that, then they control our lives, right? And that's without the social control they have. You know, the smear campaigns, the attempt to turn the masses against us, running us out of society, you know, or the psychological control, the noise campaigns, the triggers, the attempts to drive us completely insane, right, to a complete mental breakdown. Right? Full control, body, mind, and even soul, if that be possible. Sometimes I do break down. Luckily, I've been able to pull myself back from the edge. I do it by shutting off mentally, which is the only way to get any relief at all, even just for a moment. So they copy my mannerisms. Things I've done in the supposed privacy of my apartment, my mom's apartment. Right? They have people make certain comments referencing things they also have people make. It's not just that they copy my mannerisms, right? They do that too, showing me that they can see. But they have people make comments, right, about things that I've said or done in private, right? They're showing me that they've infiltrated everything, that there's no place to hide, there's no place to take shelter. Okay. It almost makes me want to claw out of my skin just to get away from them. Today I didn't go to work. I didn't go out to work. It's raining. It's raining, and it's kind of crappy out. I had a few errands to run, but you know what? Guess who followed? Yeah. The psychopaths sent their lackeys after me, even in the rain, and on a certain level, I was almost a little bit satisfied with myself because these idiot lackeys had to go out in the rain just to follow me. Yeah, good riddance to them. But they did try to set me up again. They tried to set me up. So they had this guy follow behind me as I walked, and he was rapping loudly, and in between that, he started making some threats and some references to my personal life. And to anyone else, it would just seem like some guy rapping, no big deal. But there were some references to my personal life. I looked back, he grinned, I kept walking, okay? Eventually, I slowed down, and he passed me up. And by that point, I was kind of mumbling under my breath, "You better get the fuck away from me, you fucking whatever." And just as I started mumbling under my breath, there was another guy, tall, white, pretty well dressed, I think. I don't remember exactly what he was wearing. I think he was wearing khakis. I don't know. He had his camera pointed right at me. So again, it's one of those situations, provoke, condemn, right? They try to provoke the target so that when they get the public outburst from the target, they can record it and once again show the target acting out or saying things that are less than kind or, whatever, to set the target up. Right. Okay. So then I got to the location that I was going. I had a few businesses to go to today. And someone there was talking to me and called me by a nickname that nobody had called me for years. And not only that, but I hadn't even thought about it for years. I thought about it yesterday and maybe a few days ago too. I just recently thought about it. And it's not an insulting name. It's a cute little nickname. It's no big deal. But nobody has called me that in years, and I didn't think about it until a few days ago. And then today, someone just out of the blue called me that. Someone who didn't, we met not too long ago. This person works at the counter. We don't know each other that well. So that was weird. That was really weird. Where did this person get that from? Anyway. So there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is where it gets. This is where you really start to see how they operate. So a while back, I don't know how many videos ago. It was a while ago. I talked about this guy who works here, who I think has more. I don't think he's in control of everything, but he has more power. He's made comments. He's made gestures. One day they had these people following me around with red strings, waving red strings around. And then when I got back to the apartment building, there he was in the lobby waving his red string around as he passed me. So, I know that he's one of them, and this involves him. But let's back up first, okay? So when I'm working, I work as a delivery person. I deliver food, through an app. Anyway, since there's not really a physical location that I work at, I'm out all day, and at some point, a person has needs, right? You got to take a piss, right? So I don't like having to go to restaurants and ask, can I use the toilet? Sometimes I'll do that, but typically I'll go, what I did was I started going to this mall because it's a place where I get called, I get a lot of orders there for customers to go pick up their food, because there's a food court there, and there are a lot of popular restaurants. And they have one of those washrooms where it's open to everybody who goes to the mall. So I did start using that, and the last time I went in, so in one of the stalls, there was this guy, and forgive me, this is going to be a little weird, but just bear with me. So he was sitting in the stall, and the pants, shoes, he was wearing a color combination, his pants and shoes it was a strange combination. I haven't seen that in a long time. It's rarely seen. It's rarely seen. And I thought, okay, he's, this could be something. I was hoping it was just nothing, but I'm thinking this could be something, because they will use patterns, they'll use colors, they'll use a lot of things. I started thinking, what happens if they do end up putting cameras in that bathroom too? Then it doesn't just affect me anymore. And unfortunately at home, it affects my mom too, which is the worst. But, in a public bathroom, there are other people who go in there, so it would affect them too. But, I started to feel kind of almost bad, because I didn't quite know what to do. I can't, I have to be able to go out. I have to be able to work, and, I have to be able to piss when I need to. Anyway. So I was thinking, all right, could this, is going to be another one of their signals, right? Well, that day home, when I went home that day on the bus, sure enough, a guy got on. He sat kitty corner to me, kind of in front of me, but on the side. He sat there, and he had the same shoes and pants, right? The same color combination. In fact, the exact same style, everything. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to start using this. Well, so a few days ago then, I came home, and we got a new manager a while back, some months ago. And I came home, and for the first time, I saw him wearing that same color combination, the same color for the shoes and the pants. I'm not going to say what the combination is, because then, the psychopaths are going to use that to start, triggering other targets too. They're going to watch this video, and then they, whatever target watches this video, they're going to go and do the same thing to him or her. So I'm not going to give the colors. For the same reason, I don't fully describe the gestures I make that they copy, because I don't want, I don't want other targets to be perped that way, with those gestures. Anyway, so I got home, and the manager was wearing the same combination, and I saw that a few days ago. But then yesterday was different. So yesterday I went downstairs because I needed to go out to get dinner for my mom. Okay, fine. On the way back, I walked in, and the manager's standing there, same pants, shoes combination, same color combination. It's not it's not a uniform. He was wearing the same thing. And he was talking to a few other people, including the guy that I spoke about earlier, who's worked here for a long time, and I know for a fact he's a perpetrator. Okay? So the manager was talking to that guy, and he said something like, he was joking around, they were joking, they were laughing, and loudly, and said, so, do you want to take this case? And they laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. Okay, so what was that a reference to? Here's what was going on. For like the last week or so, maybe week and a half, I've been binge watching detective shows. And I've never really been into that before. I've never liked detective shows or books. I've never liked spy shows and shit like that. But now, given what's going on, I have gotten more into it. I've gotten more interested in it, and I want to learn a little bit more about it. But there was one in particular that I really liked, and I'm not going to say which one for obvious reasons. And I started thinking, God, what could I do? What would I do to have someone like that in my life? Because that's exactly who I need, right? I need someone who is intelligent enough to see what's really there, right? Who's honest enough to admit it, and who's brave enough to go public with it. That's what I need. Because, if you look at what most people do, right? Instead of forming their conclusions based on the facts, they will attempt to twist the facts to support their conclusions, right? Whatever conclusion they want to come to, or they believe should be true, or that just the majority has decided on, right? And it can be, the facts, the evidence could be right in front of them, and they're not going to see it because they don't want to, or because they've been convinced of something else, right? I was really thinking about this, and I was really depressed because I was thinking, I need someone like this. I need a man or a woman like this in my life, right? I wish to God I had someone who could come in and see past all the bullshit and really look for it, because most people will not. They'll stop at what they expect or what they want to be true, right? And then I was really depressed because this character doesn't exist. But I was thinking, what would I do if I could meet someone like that, right? To get him or her to take my case. And I didn't say it out loud, but I thought it. So, right, the other day, I walk back in, and the guy, the manager says to the known perpetrator, hey, and he said his name too. So you want to take this case, or what do you think about taking this case? And they laughed, and they kind of looked back at me sideways. So that's what it was referencing. Anyway, this is how they do it. It's hard to prove. And I guess too, like, if you want an example of, this is hard to prove even when you have evidence, because people just don't want to see it. They don't want to believe it if it goes against what they already believe, right? Here's an example, right? Let's say a target goes into a store, and he or she has in his backpack, I don't know, hand wipes, antibacterial hand wipes from another store. Okay, he goes and he gets his stuff, he purchases it, he pays for it, he puts it in his bag, but as he's opening his bag to put in the stuff that he just paid for at the store, they see that he's got something else in his bag. So they take him to the back room to security, and they accuse him of stealing the hand wipes. But right on the package of hand wipes is the name of another store, and they don't have these particular hand wipes at the store he's currently at, right? All it would take is like less than a minute of observation to realize he did not steal those hand wipes, and yet nobody has picked up on it. Why? Because maybe, I don't know, they've already heard horrible things about the target. They think he's this, they think he's that, they think he's going to steal it. So in their minds, he did, even though the facts show that he did not. The evidence shows that he did not. They're going to ignore the facts and evidence. Right? Another example is, for that example, folks, you shouldn't need a master detective to uncover the truth. It's, a child could. It takes just a little bit of honesty. Another example, maybe, they're taught to believe that anyone who complains about being followed is clearly paranoid and mentally ill. Well, what if someone actually is being followed? You can't speak about it now, because they're not going to take you seriously. There's the phone. They're not going to take you seriously. You're just going to be deemed mentally ill. I'm going to wait until that shit stops. And the video's almost over, too. I figured they'd pull that shit. Fucking cunts. You know what? I might just edit this part out. I might just edit that part out because of the phone ringing. Anyway, so what happens if you're actually being followed, right? You know, you can't prove it because as soon as you say something about it, they deem you mentally ill because they're trained, they're conditioned to look out for that, to associate mental illness with people saying, hey, I'm being followed. So this in fact helps the criminals continue their crimes, right? They can now hunt, stalk, and terrorize people with impunity because their victims are deemed mentally ill when they try to complain about it. But what happens when there is some evidence, right? What happens when there is evidence? That'll be ignored too, because the masses have to come to the conclusion that they expect to be true, or that they want to be true, or that the hive already told them is true. They can't deviate from that, right? So they are not going to go farther than that and actually see what's there. They're going to block out whatever gets in the way of what they need to believe. So that this is why it was bothering me so much. I wanted so badly for someone like, you know, just for someone like that person to be real, right? This super, you know, genius who can, you know, who can see past anything and understand complex, you know, ideologies and untwist every knot that's made by the psychopaths and is also honest enough to admit what's actually going on, even if he doesn't necessarily like the truth, right? And is brave enough to then come out with it. I wanted this person to be real so badly, and of course, this person isn't real. It's more like need. I needed that person to be real. So that's why they did that. That's what the conversation was about. They were mocking me in the lobby, right? The manager and the other guy who's worked here for a while, who I know is a perpetrator. Do you want to take this case? Yeah. Ha 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 ha. So funny. Anyway, this video is getting long. I'm going to cut this short now. I'm gonna end this here. Peace.